I'm Vasavi, A.R. Vasavi. I'm basically trained as a social anthropologist, and my areas of interest are agrarian studies, sociology of education, and sociology of India. I have worked in an academic setting for about 20 years and then taken early retirement. I'm currently a member of a collective called Punarchit, and we work in rural Karnataka, looking at alternative learning practices for rural youth with a strong focus on integrated learning, which we include agriculture, ecology, civic responsibilities, and a lot of self-growth for rural youth, both boys and girls. Uh, Being there since the past decade, we also try to engage with the everyday realities of rural India, which includes not only about food and livelihoods, but more recently two pressing issues, which is about climate change as a form of emergency which needs to be addressed. But more recently, we've been also started looking at caste issues, caste dynamics, which have led to violence between communities and within communities. So basically, that's the kind of work I'm doing. I'd like to talk about the role of academia, especially in bringing about social transformations in India, or those pertinent to rural India or addressing agrarian issues. The biggest challenge we have in India with academia, especially higher education, is that it is increasingly built on silos which don't address the real challenges of rural India. Most of the programs seek to integrate people into a larger political economy in which the needs of rural India are not met at all. And these are well known. Overall, the education system is also anti-rural, anti-agriculture, and does not seek to integrate youth who come from rural areas itself. And much of our education system is mass higher education system creates forms of alienation when we are seeing rural youth being so alienated from their provenance, from their villages, from their homes, from the livelihoods of the parents. So in that context, academia has a huge responsibility to go beyond the institutional organizational structures to look at issues and their complexities that are manifesting in rural India. These include not only these emergencies of what we're seeing increasing inequalities brought about by very skewed and extractive kinds of agricultural systems, but also the spread of a speculative economy, the growth of a remittance economy, and of course the kind of welfare systems in which basic needs like food, etc., are being met, and therefore those are all creating distortions in rural India. So as an alternative to that, I think academia needs to conceptualize learning practices that cater to rural, but not in terms of saying because you're rural agrarian, you only need to learn these limited things, not closing the doors to opportunities to them also becoming professionals. For example, the opportunity for any average rural youth, a girl or a boy, to become a doctor, an engineer, etc. But I think catering to those aspirations along with the possibilities of a channel of youth coming back, making livelihoods, not just agriculture, but being skilled in so many livelihoods that are required in rural India. For example, take house construction. Why would alternative construction that is suitable for regional areas not be encouraged? Why would carpentry, weaving, smithy, basket making, all kinds of supplementary rural activities which were part of the rural industries earlier not be encouraged and then be implemented as part of an economy? In the context of agriculture, we see all forms of rural, local forms of agricultural systems collapsing, and a very dominant singular model of industrial chemical agriculture is being promoted. It's a sort of the Green Revolution part 2 kind of thing that we're seeing being promoted. All of which are so devastating. It has made agriculture an extractive economy. Within 2 to 3 years of such an agriculture system, lands are being denuded, there's biodiversity loss, loss of seeds, water tables have sunk, soil is contaminated, etc. And we're seeing this manifestation exacerbated with climate change. And of course, in many of these regions where there is high levels of distress, we have not only suicides, but we have high levels of outmigration of young people. In most areas of India now, it is very difficult to find labor or people in agriculture who are below 40 years. The average age of an agriculture itself is increasingly higher. It's 50 plus now. So I think in these conditions, we need to look at academia that can cater to such reviving such agricultural systems, not only through the regional Krishi Vignan Kendras, but through community colleges, which enable both youth to have the opportunity to go into the mainstream, any kinds of professional education, but large numbers also to stay back and to be engaged in their own rural areas. So that, I think, is one of the ways in which the challenges of social transformation can be addressed, where learning is for social transformation. For example, a learning system that enables you to challenge your caste system, to go beyond your caste identity, to look at issues in a much more holistic way, to be engaged locally, to have that capability, to be a citizen towards engaging with your public institution, which is the panchayat, etc. So I think that kind of holistic, decentralized learning systems are what academia can also be. Yeah?